Air conditioning for big buildings. For most buildings, it is, of course, unwise to cool each of your spaces with a separate window unit. Why put a compressor and fan in each room when we might create a more centralized system? A centralized system makes for reduced energy use, fewer pieces of equipment to purchase and maintain, plus fan and compressors are noisy, and the farther we can move them from the occupied spaces, the quieter those spaces will be. Air performs reasonably at carrying cold air, but water is better at heat exchange and does a superior job keeping cold over long distances. For this reason, many buildings, and some campuses or city districts, utilize chilled water. In this regime, pumps carry water chilled on the evaporator side, which is to say the cold side, of the compression refrigeration loop, to sometimes distant air handling units. The air handling unit then blows air across coils of chilled water rather than coils of chilled coolant as we saw in previous examples, thereby cooling 70-degree return air to 50 degrees for distribution through ducts. The chilled water and coolant never touch or mix. They just exchange heat. To picture this, you might imagine a closed-loop pipe of coolant moving through a barrel of water, which is part of a separate closed loop. Similarly, on the hot side, we might increase efficiency and capacity by removing the heat in the condensing coolant with another separate loop of water. This condenser water is pumped from the condenser to a cooling tower, and water is allowed to cascade over a series of baffles, where the water is cooled by the outside air. When needed, an impeller fan can assist airflow across the cascading water. Some of the water evaporates and is replaced with new water, but most of it falls to a pool, where it is pumped back to the condenser. This distribution network using water is complicated, but not exceptionally complex. Let's review. Water is cooled by the evaporator and distributed to the air handling units to cool room air. A separate loop of water cools the condenser and carries its heat to the outside air via a cooling tower. You've seen cooling towers on roofs and adjacent to buildings, or as part of central chiller plants. The machine that does the compression refrigeration loop in this layout is termed a chiller. As we've seen, the recirculated air is cooled by the chilled water